and welcome back to the Wallace Branch, episode number 24. And we are picking up pretty much where we left off here with Tasha Yar and the Union Pacific Local, which is coming onto the map, well, has been coming onto the map for another episode now, with the train load of boxcars and reefers, one of which is destined for where we are, which is actually Kellogg Freight Depot. The train arrived exactly where I directed it to go. However, we do want to leave some of these cars behind here, so I'm backing up now, just so that we can decouple the last few reefers and set them out. Now, the Union Pacific Freight Depot here in Kellogg, which is a real freight depot structure that I put together for this location, and I think it still exists. The actual passenger depot also still exists, but I think that this freight depot is something else now. I don't know what. Anyway, the platform seems to only accept about 2 cars, so we're going to stick with that, which means we're going to have to come back to do all 3. Try to be very precise here. Not very precise. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now once again we are back with Thomas Crown, and Thomas Crown is finished filling up with ore here at Hecla, and we're going to drive back to Wallace just as we have done a few times before to NP track number 3, and then I'm going to drive via that UP interchange, Wallace UP NP interchange, and then we're going to couple together with the ore car number 100. Yes, ore car number 100. And then all of the lead ore will be ready to head over to the smelter, and that will actually finish up, not the Hecla. The Hecla's already done. We marked it as done already in the last episode, but it will actually finish up the smelter's lead task. Okay, here we are with Alan Alda. Once again, back at the smelter, and Alan Alda needs to drive backwards to couple with an ore car, the zinc train that we've been working on for quite some time. And in fact, we need to couple with ore car 100 here. I misremembered which ore car Thomas Crown needs to couple with. So Alan Alda, you will be coupling with ore car 100, and we are going to jet back to Thomas Crown. I'm not going to show it on screen, but I will adjust the coupling procedure for Thomas Crown in due course. Now, the title of this episode is Pressing Matters, and right now I feel that aside from Tasha Yar with the beer unloading operation, the most pressing matter is dealing with the situation in Wallace, where we have a bunch of cars that need to be transferred between the Northern Pacific and the Union Pacific. Those are in the background, the cement hoppers, as well as the lumber cars. And in order to make that transfer, of course, we need to free up UP yard track number 1, which is what we're watching right now. I'm going to switch these cabooses off into the kind of diesel loading area. Used it before. It's not obviously the place where we would like to be storing the cabooses. There is a very obvious dedicated caboose storing track and shed back there in the way far background. But for right now, I think since that track is blocked, it's not going to be a problem to put these onto track UP track number 5. basically this little engine storage area. And then once those cabooses are set aside there temporarily, I will bring these empty reefers back. We really don't have any need for reefers on the UP side of this route. And then we would bring these two ATSF 50-foot boxcars, couple on track 3 to the other boxcar that's been sitting there since the beginning of this playthrough. Sometimes not always obvious to me which trains are going to have the most momentum. Now I am going to try to use the autopilot, the AI function, sensibly here and couple to boxcar WP9. We'll see. We'll see. It's always trust but verify. All right, our next step is Roger Moore has to set these concrete covered hoppers over on the UP track 1. And we're just going to push this caboose along with us. Yeah, there are two mysterious things there that were happening. First of all, I don't know why it's not possible or not allowed to decouple now in trains unless you have an engineer assigned to a locomotive in the train. That changed. It was previously possible, I believe. And obviously, in real life, it should be possible. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure of that. And then, for some reason, Woody Harrelson, the engineer I was trying to assign to the train, went into the caboose, I gather, so then it wouldn't let me take control of the train. I clicked at the wrong place, I guess. Anyway, it's all good. We're going to put this one caboose over here on UP track number 2. But of course I neglected to throw the switch, so I have had cabooses stored on this track before, even though, once again, like over on the UP side, it's not intended as the caboose storage area. Fortunately, that train did not get too far. Just checking on Thomas Crown. Thomas Crown apparently has a yellow. I'm going to stop this train here. We're going to drop the last 3 of these lumber cars, and that will be continuing on to Kellogg. All right, now these three cars will be going to the Tiger Mine. And my plan, of course, is that Thomas Crown, who's been working the Burke area, working the Burke branch so efficiently, Thomas Crown is going to take them up to the Tiger Mine, that very next thing. I'm going to quickly get out of the way of Thomas Crown, who no doubt is almost ready to arrive. I would honestly have to say it's almost a little bit stressful to be managing two consists at the same time, and also thinking about other trains on the route at the same time, of course. But for me, that's what makes it a game. It's a challenge, obviously. All right. All right, Tasha Yar has unloaded one boxcar, or one reefer. And I'm going by the length of the platform and whether the train was spotted accurately. If the MI2 does not function correctly, then I'll simply mark it as completed anyway. To me, that's pretty much a perfect fit. You can see that the doors are clearly aligned with the platform on all sides. So this task I'm going to be marking as done. All right, our next task is for Hank Williams here to continue and couple together with those cement cars and lumber cars and move on to Osborne. And in the background, I predict we'll soon be seeing the SW1200 coming in from Hecla. And I'm sure that you just heard the horn indicating that the SW1200 has indeed arrived in Wallace, just passing the depot. I can see the SW1200 coming in. And coupled up. Okay, just directing the NP or BN local to head up to Lookout Pass, where those bulkhead flats are needed for loading lumber. Okay, this UP train will be coupling up with the caboose and taking that. And another train will be taking the silver ore, or the lead ore, over to the smelter. That horn is the sound of the BN or NP local heading past the depot. So they haven't made it far, but it'll be underway. That's the important thing. Okay, programming this train to Osborne. Okay, I debated a little bit about whether to take that caboose off. Obviously, it's going to create a little bit of extra switching moves later on down the line, whereas we could have consolidated it with that BN caboose that I already set aside over there on the UP track. But this way, we get to go directly up to Burke instead of stopping for an additional move. And that means we can go back and check on Tasha Yar and work on that area of the route now. Yeah, the people on the Wallace branch, they're inured to these rapid high-speed couplings. Okay, on autopilot, up to Burke. All right, we're back with Tasha Yar, and of course, as I pointed out earlier, Tasha Yar is just finishing up with this urgent today task, delivering beer to Kellogg, and we just have to go back and couple up with the trailing end of the train and head this into Wallace. So while I was fiddling around with the camera orientation, it seems that I lost track of this switch. I checked the, I checked the switches that I thought were key, and we very rarely use this track that we accidentally went down. So I guess it just didn't occur to me to check this particular switch. It happens. Now we're on the right track. Okay, we're on our way already. Now, since the boxcars in this train are going to Silverton, I haven't quite decided, but I think it's going to make most sense to transfer them to another consist, to transfer them to that switch engine located in the Wallace yard, and then have that engine take care of switching those out, as well as probably separating out these reefers that we just emptied. Now for Alan Alda, I think we can only take about half of this train with us. We're going to take it to the smelter yard track 4 first, and then I'm just going to send him right up to the zinc ore drop-off, which is literally the last thing on the list. On the list of industries, not the last task. So yeah, we are following up the main line, so we do have to pay attention here. Now, as it happens, Hank Williams is just arriving here at Osborne, so I'm going to pull forward so that we're on that unloading track, and hopefully this industry will start to unload the cement cars. And this will actually complete that task. All right, for some time I have been thinking about this, which is the fact that we do have some steam engines on the route, and just by coincidence, the large steam engines, the Z3s, which we saw very early on in the series, they were scheduled to go into storage, not storage, but into servicing. So both those have been sort of out of action for several episodes, more than 10 episodes, I guess. And then we have this third steam engine, switch engine, 280, Northern Pacific number 50. I believe it's class F. And this was a switch engine which is actually active in Wallace. And obviously it's not really in keeping with the 1970s era that the route is set in. But like most people, most model railroaders, I love the transition era, and I tend to stretch the definition of the transition era as much as possible. Some people would do that by having a heritage unit, but I'm saying that, hey, this was on the Wallace branch. Maybe it's an anachronism, but we're using it from time to time as a switch engine in Wallace. And that includes shuttling cars occasionally between Silverton and Wallace, Silverton being considered as a switching area, switching zone for the Wallace area. So, yeah, we had a bunch of spare covered hoppers on a storage track from an earlier playthrough, and now this engine is just going to move those out. And in addition, it will be helpful that number 50 here will be in Wallace, able to handle Tasha Yar when that train comes in with the boxcars heading for the bottling plant. And it's good that this little train is coming quickly, because we do need to keep the track clear for when Tasha arrives. This is Rafe Vaughan Williams is the engineer for this train. And just a reminder, the naming of the engineers is based on taking the vanilla engineers and simply adding a last name or last name and middle name for somebody who was famous, or potentially a fictional character who was famous in the 1970s or 80s. Moving our cement train one car forward. This is one of the quicker unloading tasks on the route. I really love the swirling particle effects, honestly. I would like to explore some other toot sounds. The whistle there has a little bit of an odd three-part. It's a really long three-part whistle, I guess. And yes, the smoke is a little bit over the top, but all right, we're here with Jessica back at the smelter. And Jessica, I'm going to have pull back and couple with the ore car number 108. And it looks like that instruction was received and acted on. And I'm not sure if we're going to try to take all the remaining ore cars up to the smelter or just the first five or so. Obviously, this is a small switch engine, not really appropriate for this task, but it would save time. And I think what we could actually do is just put them kind of like in one of the storage tracks for the GP9 consist to handle once the original set is all loaded, unloaded. It's a good place to be extremely cautious about running off the end of the track. And not easy to spot the end of the track, but
Detector milepost 118.0.
Down to 321 tons. I am being more conscientious about the handbrake on the consist before taking off, and also pausing for, I think, a more lengthy amount of time. I do wish that these dead trees did not sway in the wind so much. Alrighty. Alright, Hank Williams is going to pull forward one more time and unload the remaining 2 cars here. And then this task will be marked as done, since all 8 of the cars that were demanded are now delivered. Very good. And then it will be on to the BHS with those lumber cars. Okay, Jessica will be driving first to the smelter yard track 4. And we'll see how this goes. I have a feeling it's not going to go well. But I see forward motion. Perhaps the better option, though, is for Alan Alda to come down and help. Yeah, I think that's inevitably what's going to end up happening. The horsepower on that SW1500 just is not up to it. Okay, that's underway. I think it's time to return to Osborne. All right, Hank Williams is now on the way to the Bunker Hill and Sullivan goods drop-off. And meanwhile, Tasha Yar is coming into the Wallace yard, and I think this is an appropriate place to sign off for this episode, episode number 24. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and hope you're looking forward to the next episode when, of course, we will be back in this area in Wallace, as always. We will be doing some switching tasks, and we'll be delivering the boxcars you see here to the bottling plant and the reefers to Mullen. We'll be, of course, rushing back to Lookout Pass to have a look at the Cox logging operation, fill up a couple of cars there, urgent task, and we'll probably be actually getting over to Saltese and handling some pipe loads there. There's also a train on its way shortly from Kellogg, which will be collecting some pipes in Wallace. So a lot of stuff's going to be happening next episode as well, and I hope to see you there on the Wallace branch.